I only thought my collection was complete. Let me see if I can possibly better explain my confusion during this Noble Collection update, right after we roll that intro. Okay, ultimately, there were just 7 impressions of the Noble Collection that were made. And at the time of my last update that I talked about the addition of the Cornerstone blend to my collection, I thought I was right in saying that I had them all. How wrong I was. Or was I? The 2018 release that I have always talked about is the 13-year Blender's Mash, of which I had in my collection. But prior to the Blender's Mash, there was the Bourbon Mash that had been released in the United States. Now, I knew that in 2018, Crown Royal had released a Bourbon Mash in the Signature series that later was changed to Blender's Mash because of a legal dispute over using the word bourbon in their naming of their whiskey. And obviously the same thing happened in the Noble Collection that same year. You see, bourbon can only be made in the United States. So Crown Royal, after having already released the Bourbon Mash in America, was ordered by the courts to correct the labeling of that product. So Crown Royal thought they had done just that by placing a sticker on all of the remaining bottles from the Noble Collection release, as well as the tubes that stated, "This is not bourbon whiskey." Well, that wasn't the solution that was required according to American manufacturers of bourbon whiskey in the United States. So then the final solution was to recall the product and then place a completely new sticker over all the remaining supply that stated it was a 13-year Blender's Mash. And if you look closely at all your Noble Collection bottles and tubes, you will notice that the other 6 releases have their names etched into the tubes. But the 13-year Blender's Mash is the only release with a huge sticker on the tube. But now, to real collectors, that meant that there were actually 3 releases in 2018 for the Noble Collection. The 13-year Bourbon Mash, the 13-year Bourbon Mash with a sticker that said "This is not bourbon whiskey," and finally, the 13-year Blender's Mash. So in total, with those 3, plus the other 6 releases that began in 2016 and ended in 2023, that means there are actually 9 releases in the Noble Collection. Not just the 7 I have always talked about from the beginning of this process. Although the Bourbon and Blender's Mash trio is all the exact same whiskey. Well, once again, I would like to say thanks for watching, and as always, please hit that subscribe button so that you continue learning about Crown Royal and how I am currently building my collection. We'll see you again real soon.